Today is the day. Our solar panels for the van conversion have finally arrived, with a total of 850 watts. These panels are seriously massive. We've been waiting for this moment for 2 months. But before we dive into installing them, there is some groundwork to lay. We need to ensure we can fit both solar panels, a MaxxAir fan and a sunroof window. We want it all, so let's get started.
So today is quite a big day for us. We're going to start the solar install. The solar panels are here and we also have our roof rack here. What we've decided to do is buy an off-the-shelf transit roof rack which consists of 3 bars like this. It's quite heavy duty. It comes with 3 brackets like this which are designed to fit into the space on the transit roof. They have a 1 bolt hole here which lines up the original holes on the roof of the transit. Then once you bolt them on, you simply clamp the metal bars to the brackets with these clamps. It was actually quite a cost-effective way of doing it. It was just over £100 for the 3 bars with the brackets, which I think is pretty good. Should be a really nice, solid way of doing it. Quite simple as well. So the first job is to mount the roof rack. So the first part of installing this roof rack is to just locate the original bolt holes in the roof of the van along this side. This is the extra long wheelbase transit, so I think there's 5 of them actually, but we're only using 4 of them because this is a 3-bar roof rack. But this is how they look before. It's just a rubber bung which is sprayed the same colour as the van. To remove it, I just put the screwdriver straight through the middle of it like that and then just prized it out. I've discovered that the hole beneath that I'm looking to bolt into is actually not quite in line with the grommet here, so I'm going to have to drill down and open up the hole a little bit. But once I've done that, basically this just bolts straight onto there. One bolt on each bracket, and then like I said a minute ago, this clamps down on top. Pretty straightforward. So I've opted for a 10mm drill bit here. It's big enough that it's not going to go into the threaded hole and destroy it, but it will locate in the outer rim that's in there and allow me just to move the drill around and try and open the hole a little bit. I've opened that up enough that I can now see the full thread, so when I put the bolts in it should line up nicely. Because I've now drilled the metal and exposed the bare metal, taken the primer off, I'm just going to put an under seal there just to make sure it doesn't rust in the future. I've applied some wax oil around there. It's not really for roofs, it's more for like underneath the car, areas that are exposed to a lot more abuse than a roof, but it will do the trick. It will seal against the rust. So now that I've put that in, I can put the bolt through, the bolt complete with a penny washer and a spring washer. Just force it through the foam. So if you tighten that in just to the point where you see the washer distort slightly, then you know it's nice and tight. It feels really solid. The instructions don't say to do anything more than I've already done here, but I am going to run some Silkaflex or Puraflex, similar product, just around the outside here and also around the bolt, just to make sure no water gets through there. Well, as I expected, the silicone that was left in the nozzle had dried up, so I've just put another one on. Luckily this one has a cap on it, so a bit better. I would love to know why some manufacturers don't use these. It just makes things a lot easier. You don't need to be too fussy with how it looks. I mean, it's on the roof, so no one's ever going to be seeing it. One important thing is just to make sure the surface underneath is really clean. So I just use some decent wipes to make sure that there was no contaminants there. And also, it's a good idea to just put some mastic around the bolts as well. Always really useful to have these kind of wipes around. I've got to use the Gorilla wipes. They get just about everything off your hands. Okay, so now the next step in the process is to install our MaxxAir fan. Our roof is very tightly packed with the huge solar panels, the MaxxAir fan and the sunroof, and it all just about fits. We'll show you in more detail later. And for this reason we had to opt for the 350mm MaxxAir fan. Most people go for the 400 from what I've seen, but the 350 will do the job for us. So this is the thing that I'm going to use as a kind of template. It drops into the roof this way, so you need to cut a hole out of this size at the bottom, and then you drop that in and you seal it, this surface to the roof. The actual measurement across here is 352mm, but I'm going to go for 355, so I've got a couple of mil to play with. The last thing you want is to cut it slightly too small and then try and remove a little bit of metal, which is just really hard to do that. So always play it safe and just go a couple of mil over, especially when there's plenty of overlap like there is on this frame here. So what I'm going to be doing now is marking out exactly where to drill the holes. I'm going to drill a tiny little hole in each corner, and then I'll just square everything and draw it onto the roof, and I'll show you that later. So you'll see these marks here, and this is the centre of the fan, this is the far left corner, this is the far right corner. What I'm going to do is just this drill bit here, tiny little 2.5mm drill bit, is just drill up in that corner and drill up in that corner. That's all I really need to do from underneath, because I know that I need the fan as tight to this beam as possible, and then from those two corner drill holes I can draw a 14" by 14" square above and cut from above. As you can see, I left the insulation a little bit too close here, so I'm having to hold the drill at an angle, but it's only a thin piece of metal, so it's not going to make much difference in where the hole ends up. Okay, so 2 holes drilled. You can see here the 2 holes coming through. So now I'm going to draw a 14" square using those coming this way. Always a good idea to put a box underneath where you're going to cut the hole, so you don't end up with metal filings everywhere. And I'll be cutting it out with a jigsaw. So there we have it. 350 by 350 hole in the roof, ready for the MaxxAir fan. It's going to throw in a nice bit of light and give us some really good ventilation. Okay, so I've cleaned up all the metal shavings, put new masking tape. I'm just going to put on some red oxide primer along these edges to stop it rusting. I've now painted all the edges of the metal, so it's not bare metal anymore. The next job is to apply a generous amount of Puriflex. I'm going for a white sealant this time because the frame is also white. It's not a perfectly flat surface around here. It sort of undulates, goes up and down. So I'm just going to have to fill up those areas with extra Puriflex. I don't really see any other way of doing it. So, but I think it will do the job well. Good morning. It's another super hot day here in the UK. Hence the not wearing of a t-shirt. It's just so hot right now with the sun on me. So I'm going to carry on with the install of the MaxxAir roof fan. I got to the point of clamping it with some adhesive underneath it yesterday. The adhesive hasn't quite fully dried yet, but it's still a little bit tacky, but I think it's a good time to remove the clamps individually on one side at a time, and then fire some screws down through the roof just to really secure the gap between the ceiling and the fan shroud. I'll just probably pre-drill them out and then put the screws in after. I'll show you how it's going to be done. I've already undone one clamp this morning before I started videoing, but I'll just show you what I've done underneath. So having removed the timber that I was using to clamp down on top, I've now put a 18mm piece of ply here underneath, and I'm going to screw through into this plywood from above, which is it's nice and strong, this, and it's already quite solid around here because this insulation is really well adhered to the roof as well as this insulation. So it's like this insulation is super strong anyway. And then we've got a metal support here, so I'm hoping from above that I can somehow get some screws down through this metal support. Might require some longer screws, I'm not sure yet. So first of all, anyway, I've clamped this side in 2 places, avoiding clamping over where I need to put the screws through. Probably see. So I'm going to go up there now and pre-drill and put some screws through. These are the stainless steel screws that they supply with the fan. I recommend using these or an alternative stainless steel screw. You don't want them rusting in the future. I've eyed up a 3mm drill bit to be the best size to pilot these. You can see here, where I'm going to be putting the screws. I'm not going to do these ones at the side yet because the ply doesn't quite reach this point. So I don't know if you can see now, the ply doesn't quite reach these points in the corner, so that's going to be fixed there later on. So the first thing to do is to drill through with a 3mm drill bit. You see it's still quite tacky inside. What I'm then going to do so I've got the Puraflex again. I'm going to put some of that into the hole. Maybe this isn't entirely necessary, but what I'm also going to do is I'm going to dip the screw into the undersill, and hopefully that will just fill up the thread with the undersill and again just help with the whole rusting situation. So you don't need to go too tight with that, just a nice pinch. Okay, I just want to show you what I'm going to do on the next part of this install. You'll see here I have removed part of this insulation, the 25mm layer of polystyrene. So the plan is to get two pieces of 12mm ply, which will make up pretty much the same depth, and screw through the top of the van with really long screws straight into the ply. This will pull everything together nicely and keeps a lot of the insulation in place so we don't lose the insulation. I did say earlier about using the screws that came with the roof window. The problem is they're just not long enough, so I picked up these stainless steel screws. They're 70mm long and they're going to be long enough to come down into the plywood. So that is the plan. So last of all, once all the screws are in, you just want to go over all the screws with some more of the Puraflex. This will just provide an extra seal to make sure the water doesn't go through those holes. Also, I'm just going to run some more Puraflex along these joints here just to make sure water doesn't go anywhere near that joint. Oh, back down off the roof, it's so hot up there, it's crazy. And also I managed to, I've got glue on my lip. I managed to knock the GoPro off balance when I was coming down the ladder, and it not only did it fall over, it fell all the way down and cracked itself on the road there. The next job is to actually screw in this, the MaxxAir fan. To do that, it's quite straightforward. You take it like this, you open it up all the way, and then it's just a case of dropping it onto the mount above and putting 2 screws on each side. You will notice that we are mounting our MaxxAir fan the wrong direction, not the way the manufacturer recommends. They recommend this part is closest to the back of the van, but we just don't have space to do it. So what it will mean is that when we use a MaxxAir fan, we'll have to make sure it's closed so this doesn't create loads of drag when we're driving. But apart from that, I don't think it will make much difference to its overall performance. So now that the MaxxAir fan's finished over there, looking good, I can now measure exactly where the solar panels will finish, and then I've marked out where the sunroof is going. This is how we're going to do the sunroof. So cutting along this line. Again, I masked it all up to protect the paintwork. Checked everything below to make sure that it's not going to hit anything inside the van. The solar panels will finish just about here, which leaves enough space for the window to open up. As you can see, our solar panels are pretty big, so they're literally a few mil from the MaxxAir fan right up to the edge of the sunroof, and they overhang the van on widthwise slightly. So we have a sunroof. Okay, so the sunroof is in, the MaxxAir fan is in. You saw what I was doing yesterday, wedging the sunroof with packers. What I've kind of done there is wedged the packers into the slots of the sunroof, and then also wedged it against the metal of the roof, so that it's kind of distorted the roof metal. Luckily there's flexibility in it. That's the only way I could really do it, because there would have been a 10mm gap either side, because the roof is a lot more curved than the sunroof. But it went into place quite nicely. Sealed it all in. I'll just show you how it is. So it's all, the glue is drying nicely now. There's no way these are going to come out with this much adhesive around them. So it felt like a bit of a bodge at the time, but actually I think it's going to be a really nice solution there. Hopefully no leaks. Today I'm going to be doing the solar panels.
I know you all are excited about the solar panels, and so we are. That's going to be a detailed process, and we want to give it the time it deserves. So we'll be covering that in its own dedicated video. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. See you next week.